Hello, everybody.
Wow.
Welcome to...
You want to try that one again?
What?
That was like a weird hello.
Oh, I can't do it. Well, that's...
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Look, you just saw a really weird episode of The X-Files. The intro here is going to be weird, okay?
Yeah, that's
Deal
fine.
with it.
It's because we're all tripping on mushrooms.
Welcome to the Alieums after show, the show that comes on after that show about the Alieums, aka The X-Files, which there wasn't really an alien in this, but I would argue that the trip was so fucking weird that maybe it was some kind of an alien influence.
Oh boy,
that's...
don't even give them...
The aliens were watching.
Listen,
they
there's
said,
been a lot of stuff that we've been
from
reaching on and talking about this episode of like, well, if what they mean by
all right,
this
let's
line,
calm down first.
And you're already just giving
you
it
shut
up.
up.
Okay.
This guy is Ben Tully.
Hi, I'm Ben Tully.
He's so annoying. I married him anyway, though.
Yeah.
He is the Scully.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
everybody.
happy Valentine's Day. Yes. He is the Scully to my Mulder because he is an actual scientist.
A doctor scientist.
A doctor scientist.
Yeah.
He is also, if I lean over here and cozy up to Dalex real quick, he looks like Gandalf and we are hobbits.
Hello,
I'm wearing the one
hobbits.
ring.
Welcome
We're
to
so
outside
tiny
of the Shire.
compared to the giant mammoth that is Ben Tully. My name is Colleen.
This is
Evanson.
Colleen Evanson.
Go ahead, do my intro.
Yeah, she's my wife.
Yep.
Possessive, too
That's
possessive.
too possessive.
We're married.
Yeah.
She mostly owns the relationship. It's fine. She's a huge X-Files fan. You may know her from such things as the X-Files Abridged on Vine, where she recapped all 201 episodes plus the movies using her dolls.
Action figures.
You wouldn't think it was possible,
Yeah,
but
but
somebody
she
did it.
I did
Every
it.
episode, 6 seconds apiece.
For free.
For free.
Because I'm a fool. I'm a fool.
Yeah.
And joining us once again is Dalex.
What up? Hey, internet.
He's got a little alien hat on.
Right there.
He
Actually, it's see-through.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Is it just
It's
going
amazing.
Right through?
Oh.
All right. Woo! We just got a flash of Agent Einstein.
Oh, Agent
So
Einstein.
we're just
coming
gonna
in
leap
here.
right into this.
Yeah, we
first
got a couple
episode.
more, like 45 minutes to do this. We're gonna bang it out.
We're gonna bang out this dumpster fire of an episode real quick.
Because we just got mind raped by Chris Carter.
Whoa!
Oh,
Strong words.
Wow, trigger
I'm just
warnings
saying.
first.
Trigger
man.
warning.
Okay.
Yeah.
like-
Calm down. Oh, also, I think earlier we had said that Kate Nash was going to be here. Sadly, she was abducted by aliens, so
yeah,
she's
that
not
was
here.
really.
She'll
She was
probably
like
be her next-
outside. We saw her, and then just like whoop,
Bye.
gone.
Yeah.
Forever.
Crazy
Never
town.
gonna see her again.
Couldn't
So
believe
sad.
it.
Didn't. Yeah.
Really,
Sorry about
really
it.
upsetting.
All right. So tonight's episode was called Babylon, and it was written and
Oh, was
directed.
it about like the Bible?
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
It was written and directed by Chris Carter, the creator of the X-Files.
And that's really the only accolades we can give him for tonight, right?
The person
really?
that should know the most about this show.
Yeah, he created this, but
He then
yeah.
proceeded to kind of take a dump on it.
also another form of rape. I mean, I feel like it's like we just like somebody should call the police
I feel
And-
like
Strong words.
and
Strong words.
let them know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that went on into this episode, and there is the guy who does the poster project. I do have an image for his poster that he made for this, which asks the question that is basically kind of the thesis of the episode, I guess.
Different
And-
poster.
Nope, that's not it. It's a poster, and it's like
wait to
it
see
looks
this
like a
poster.
mushroom cloud.
What was the name of the-
It's going on. It's
Oh.
called Babylon, and it says like, can a psychedelic trip prevent terrorist attacks? And I was like,
I mean,
you know
that-
what? That's
yeah.
kind of a good summary of what they were, I
Sums
guess,
it up.
trying to
Yes,
do.
sure.
But I don't think those two things should be going together.
no. There's no.
The tone and the theme of this episode are really kind of confusing, and I feel like it muddies what the thesis is really supposed to be.
Sure.
And there was a lot of hype about this episode. And
By who? Who was
And
hyping
Yeah,
Simon.
there
this?
it is. There it is. Oh, there it is. It's tiny.
Bring it up.
Oh, make it bigger.
Make it go. bloop. Magic powers. Watch, we can do this.
Oh my gosh! Look
Oh,
at us.
Oh,
Oh, so powerful. Oh my gosh. Ooh, what? Get out of here. That's
Colleen,
inappropriate.
you're excited.
Yeah. So, the interesting thing that happened a while ago was that Anne Simon, who's the science go-to lady,
liaison
for Chris
coordinator,
Carter.
The consultant of science?
consultant,
the
yeah, for
consultant
the X-Files.
of science for X-Files.
Okay.
She's friendly with Chris. She went to the shooting, apparently, of when they were filming in the bar when Mulder was in a honky-tonk. And she had said, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. This is probably going to be everyone's favorite episode. And she tweeted it out, and everybody, the whole fan base got really excited about it. Then we knew that the porch scene happens in that episode, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, maybe they're going to have a resolution between why they broke up Mulder and Scully. And it's going to have, like, the porch scene this. Everyone was putting all this emphasis on what the porch scene was going to be.
And the hand-holding.
And the hand-holding and whatnot, because everyone's a slut for hand-holding, right?
Right.
So then there was another false spoiler that came out that said the episode was going to be about Scully's life if she didn't join the FBI. And so people were like, well, that's weird, because they already did an alternate universe kind of thing with William in Founder's Mutation for the second episode. So people were kind of confused, but I would prefer to watch that episode. But
I mean, that at least would have primed you for this, right? Because like she would have been like mentally primed for that to happen. So if it was like somebody who came along with a suggestion, like it'd be like, wow. Yeah. It's like, fine, all right, that's all already been built into the character development for the season.
Yeah, but instead, what happened over the weekend, actually on Friday, Hulu leaked the episode.
Oh, really?
And it came out for about
several hours.
For an hour or two.
Well, no, that's not what. Step back.
Oh,
it went out to press.
Yes.
Right? So we had this hype from people who were associated exclusively with the show.
Sure.
And then it went out to press. And the press watched it and went,
panned it.
Wow, this is not good.
Right.
It's really bad. And so now you had a whole week of people being told, don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. It's really
Babylon
bad.
is not really good.
Yeah.
You're not going to like it.
And then
come to Friday.
Yeah, and Hulu leaked it, but Ben believes it's
Fox's brilliant way of being like, well, the critics didn't like it, but if we leak it, it surprises people. They get like a little treat because they have to see it early, so they're not in as negative a mood about it. It's now like a thing that's like a surprise, right?
Like the bar is low.
And so it was out for a couple hours before they realized the mistake. Mm-hmm. And then the people who are watching it, not TV critics, who are just fans who just want to see the show that they love, are like, it's not that bad. Right? So it was like this
reply, laughter.
It was this way of like trying to stop the downward spiral by like a surprise, like, hey.
Which is funny that the network/studio is supporting the writer who went absolutely AWOL in this episode.
Chris Carty. He went AWOL.
I mean, they're supporting the creator and linchpin of the revival.
Right.
It's where their money is coming from. You can't abandon him.
I don't know.
No.
You can't. Because you want him to be nice and come back and give you another 50 million viewers on the next premiere next year.
Yeah.
That is true, but that doesn't mean that there aren't relationships somewhere at the studio network that are not like, this is insane bullshit.
Sure. We're going to get to that so hard. Does that sound like anybody else to you? Any other like major creative force who came up with a brilliant idea
that let Fox?
That let other people, that let other people work on his projects for a while, and then came back to take it over, and people hated it for years.
You know what's really weird, Ben? You and I are both wearing a Star Wars shirt.
No, I don't know what you're talking. We'll get to it when we get to it.
Memo.
Yeah, it's fine. But
you have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one.
Yeah. So Chris Carter usually writes the mythology episodes. He wrote My Struggle, which is the first premiere episode, which was also not super great.
Confusing.
He's trying to do a lot of things, and he doesn't execute them well, I think, is the problem. And he's got too many ideas.
Cool, yeah, we solved it. We don't have to go through the rest of the analysis.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah. But
Chris does too much.
He's also not always the best non-mythology writer throughout the whole series of the show. There were some of his that were not super great.
Some of them were good,
but some of them were fantastic. The guy who gives us Triangle also gives us Babylon, and so it's confusing. So he's a very inconsistent writer of all of the writers.
And Postmodern Prometheus, which is also about rape.
Which is also
It is actually
But this
about
one wasn't
rape.
overtly about rape. You just feel like you got raped.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Just using the R word.
That's fine.
Trigger warning. Sorry, again.
Throwing it out. Just throwing it out willy-nilly by two white men. No big deal.
Who would never know anything about that.
Yeah.
Like, really uncomfortable about it all the time. Like the idea that...
All right. Getting off of the rape train.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get right into...
Let's break on that.
It's a metaphor,
the first thing that makes you start to sweat bullets with this episode is the opening image of a guy praying to Allah, and he's doing like Allah Akbar, and right away I'm just going,
that's wrong. We're probably gonna get
no.
threats on that.
And I'm immediately starting to pray and being like, please don't make this like a stereotypical like terrorist thing.
Oh man, I thought it was a great introduction for a Homeland episode.
Yeah.
Right? Was really good.
Yeah.
Like a Homeland season, right? This is like he's the guy that we're gonna follow for the rest of the season because like he's leading us to the lead terrorist.
To a fully fleshed out story that has twists and turns about terrorism.
Oh my god! And you're not really sure which way he's going because like he's gonna have second
twist,
thoughts.
It's not.
Oh. Okay. All right. That's fine. That makes sense.
Yeah. He drinks milk
and a PBJ. Listen.
He's an
there's a
American.
lot of.
He's American.
There's a lot of setup for this character.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
Which is completely unnecessary.
If you just blow him up.
When you just blow him up, right? And like it gets redeemed a little bit at the end. We're gonna skip all the way to the end of the show where his mom's like, he comes to me in my dream and says that he like stopped doing it, like and like didn't want to go through with it.
Stop doing it.
But like, there's no like personal, like you don't think that when you're looking at that guy. You're like, oh yeah, he's a good kid in a bad situation, right? Like there's no like hints to that. There's no nothing. It's like here's a really long intro to some guy who's clearly not an extra from Homeland, and we're gonna go, and then it blows up.
And then but I have to ask this because now that I'm thinking about it,
yeah,
here we go.
The purpose of them going was to destroy a piece of art that we never saw, right?
Sure.
The
I
pundits,
actually thought
the
they were.
fake news pundits
I thought they were
talking
going
about
to. I
it.
thought that was a restaurant. To
So
be
did
honest,
I thought it was
for the
too.
longest time, I was
So
like,
did
they're
I,
going to a
actually,
restaurant. They're going to blow up a restaurant.
It's an art gallery.
All right.
Yeah. So then, all right. So
well,
then
that's the first 30 seconds, and that was absolutely painful. And here we go.
And misleading and confusing.
Yeah. So and also doesn't look like the X-Files. It looks like you're watching an episode of something else.
Yeah.
It's too bright.
It's too bright out.
It's too bright. They moved to LA, and it's too bright. Sorry.
All right, season 6. Get out of here.
Sorry. Sorry. Am I late for that one? Is that 1999? I missed it. Okay.
So then we get into the X-Files office, and you're like, oh, okay, it is an episode of the X-Files and not Homeland being broadcast on Fox.
In the wrong time slot.
In the wrong time slot. Yeah. And so
by their competitors.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever.
Carrie Matheson does not show up. But Mulder does kind of a projector-ish thing. His new projector is just watching stuff on the TV.
Flat screen TV. That's
which
fine.
is fine.
So YouTube clips.
Yeah.
Yes, he's
right?
showing her.
Which is like
He's showing her potentially a YouTube clip of
the horns.
The horns that is an actual phenomenon, I believe, that people have talked about.
Yeah, I think it's a real phenomenon.
Where they hear trumpet sounds.
Or like sounds that have no clear
origin.
Where they're coming from. Yeah.
Okay.
And it sounds musical. A lot of the time, like it's chalked up to being like the wind blowing through buildings and stuff at the right speed,
velocity,
and,
if you will.
Yeah, and time and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It happens in like big cities where there's a lot of like tunnels and whatever could be going on, right? And it doesn't have to happen all the time because you need a certain amount of
gust.
Yes, wind velocity.
But what happens in the scene is basically a setup of the clear points of view of Mulder and Scully. It's Scully being Mulder's like, hey, here's this thing that's going on.
Can you use the voice?
Scully, there's this phenomenon, and you can hear it sounds like there's trumpets from the heavens. And she's like, what are you talking about? This is nonsense. And also, P.S., do you believe in God then? Is that what you're talking about? And he's like, no, I don't believe in God. That's crazy.
But these people believe in God.
But these people probably believe in God. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. And then
talks about Revelation.
They talk about
Revelations.
Revelations.
I want to address that because he says Revelations. The book is Revelation.
Oh, snap.
And what the fuck, Chris or Mulder? David.
He doesn't believe.
Yeah, well,
he don't believe in God. He believes in Alieum.
But he's a smart enough, educated man.
Sure, yeah, of course. But they also call back to the pilot again in this, where she says someone knocks, and and she says there's no one down here but the FBI's most unwanted, which I will say
it's an amazing line.
It's a fun line.
But this is the thing, we've now left that part where like, okay, if you're watching a show for the first time, you're like, all right, I'm not really sure about this whole like terrorist thing. It's like really overt.
Right.
Like he stops at a stoplight. It's weird. And then we enter this 10 minutes, what I think is like the best 10 minutes
of the show.
Of this episode, definitely.
Yes.
Potentially up there in the best 10 minutes of the revival.
Okay.
Really?
Strong words.
I really like it.
Words.
I really think it's very clever. Like they bring in two characters that are clearly a younger version of Mulder and Scully.
Flips,
AKA Baby Mulder and Scully.
Baby Mulder and Scully, the little Legos.
Which are Legos for me.
They're definitely too hot.
Definitely too hot.
Right?
I'm like, is this a CW? What's going on?
Yeah, right? Like David was not hot in season 1.
He was attractive,
yes,
but he is not Robbie Amell hot.
No, not like chiseled and like no.
Yeah.
There's two different.
I mean, to me, here's the. Yes, the scene is fun, and you see the characters and whatever.
I like it.
My issue with it, though, is that Chris Carter said in the beginning he didn't want to do a victory lap. He didn't want to come back and do a victory lap of the show. That scene feels very much like a victory lap.
It's like a wink nod.
Yeah, it's
like
a bit
a
of a
wink, wink.
masturbatory sort of situation.
Yeah, look, I have new young Mulder and Scully, and look, Scully is a medical doctor. Also, her name is Einstein. We're just gonna go right at it and call her Einstein.
Yeah, that's not even subtle.
Which I'm like, okay. Even Scully's like, really? And then we have.
Does that make it clever
Miller,
though? That like,
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like that's like if this was Deadpool.
Yes,
Right.
The movie that came out this weekend.
It's very much not Deadpool.
Like you'd be like, oh, that's a clever like fourth wall breaking nod.
There's Robbie Amell, very tiny.
I think it's not.
Okay.
He's not tiny. I think we just can't
that's
see.
Fine. That's fine. So that's Einstein right there. She looks very much like Baby Scully in some ways. I think in some scenes she actually had like an old flannel-looking blazer on, which is amazing, but also
hysterical.
like kind of funny, but also like what? And then Robbie Amell is the new version of Mulder.
He's Arrow, right?
He's Arrow's little brother.
There she is,
Arrow's
Ancient
little
Einstein. Also from 6 Feet Under, which is a fantastic show.
And
she's a good actress in that, but I think that she's pulling her face a lot in this episode, and I don't know that that's necessarily her.
I mean, well,
or
Chris was the director.
Chris being more like, make it bigger.
Right, so like more over the top. Pretend like you really don't believe him.
I had read something today. Yeah, he's saying something insane.
Right?
It's blowing our
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
Yeah.
I
No one
watched
can see us.
Ewan
That's really
McGregor's
good that
acting
nobody saw
career
that.
die on screen
Yes,
in Revenge of the Sith.
that's true.
So I'm not surprised if we're going
Another
that route.
parallel
Oh, yeah.
of Star
Whew.
Wars to X-Files.
We haven't
here.
gone there yet.
But
I'm sorry.
I mean, to me too, and there's like Superman / Agent Miller.
Yeah.
Which
What's
I don't
going
mind the
on?
name actually. I'm totally cool with
Miller's
that.
okay, of course, because that's your last name, you jackass. But Miller and Mulder, it's like, isn't it
It's
even the
on
same
the
amount of letter? It's
nose.
like the same.
It's the same thing.
Miller is
Oh,
Mulder.
she calls him
like,
Miller.
Yeah. Oh, how
Yeah,
cute.
that's so over the top.
Like it's like, all right,
It's
Scully,
like-
slow your roll.
Yeah.
Look,
Isn't that cute?
look, boop. She calls him Miller.
Anyways,
Just like I called you Mulder from the beginning.
woohoo. But to
Do you remember
me,
that before we were fucking?
To me, okay.
I wrote too meta.
Too meta.
Too meta.
Well, the other slight issue too is that like they're presented as characters, but they're presented as a joke as characters.
Yeah.
They're
I mean,
presented
I don't take them seriously from the
presented
You
moment
don't
I
take
see
them
them
seriously.
at
Obviously,
all.
Chris takes them seriously.
Because-
So they're presented as characters. They're presented as real characters from his point of view.
But you wouldn't know that watching
Sure,
it.
of course not. Yeah, all right.
And
he
even-
thinks he's really clever.
No, but even the music
You
in the
don't have to
background.
raise your hand. We're here.
Hello.
Excuse me, waitress. Bernie
Bernie.
Sanders is over here, and we just want to let you know that
I
we want the
Next?
check.
Mhm.
Sorry, we're leaving.
we're leaving.
I like that tangent.
Yeah.
Check please.
All right, so, but to me, like, if you bring in these characters as kind of a joke and a parody of your characters originally, it's hard to take them seriously. And it seems like a satire in an episode that's supposed to be dealing with really, like, heavy, real issues. And that
I just think the weremonster.
that tone is confusing throughout. There we go. Boom. Chris Carter has George Lucas.
Yeah.
Look at these two guys. Look at these two guys. Look at them.
man.
Look at them.
Get him though.
They're
They both had
basically
great
Fuck outta
ideas.
here.
And here's the thing. They both had great ideas. They both created
Jesus.
amazing characters.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went off the rails as they got older because they're like privileged, rich white dudes.
Okay,
that
so
are
are we
not
gonna
in
do, are we
touch
gonna
with
do
the
this? Are we gonna
zeitgeist.
do this right now?
Are you
This
gonna
is-
do
this
it?
is
We're
the
throwing the
conversation. Okay, the gauntlet
go
is
ahead.
down.
Go ahead, Tully.
The problem with both of these gentlemen,
Yep, here we go.
great guys, really great ideas,
Science
Yes.
fiction gods, if you will.
defining
Yes.
entire generations of science fiction. Problem is, they finished something, and then took time off and didn't develop their craft. It's
Right.
not like George Lucas went off and like did a whole bunch of different movies and he learned how to be a director and like people talk about it all the time. Chris did the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's been 14 years. You listed off the things that he was a part of, right?
I mean,
He,
Millennium was the show that was on while the X-Files was going on, but the Morgan and Wong, I believe, took over for
Right.
Sure.
most of towards the
and
end.
there was
Spotniks
the
was on
Lone
that too,
Gunman,
right?
And Spotniks was
which
on-
you're like
the Lone Gunman,
is like a
which
good
I still
show.
think was a good show that
Sure.
didn't
But
get
then
its
got
time in the
canceled
sun, but
because
did
it
get
was
canceled.
like ahead of its time, which is fine, right? So at some point in the past, Chris was ahead of his time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like totally
And
acceptable.
now he
We
has
could agree.
fallen
But like
very
since
far
then,
behind.
you said that he's had like an indie movie,
He had
which
like kind of
didn't
an indie movie named Firewalker.
and
that
then an
no one had
Amazon
heard of.
show that
And an
didn't get
Amazon
picked up.
show called, I believe, The Aftermath or something, or The After,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
didn't
right.
get picked up by Amazon.
Yeah, didn't get picked up. So that's 2 failures in 14 years, right? So now he's coming back to his baby, his TV show, but he doesn't have like 14 years of new experience.
No cred.
He's exactly the same he was back in 2003, and you
Sure.
can't write an episode of television from 2003 and then put it on 2016 TV.
Also, I mean, my issue too is that you're a rich, older white male, and you're trying to write about a terrorist, like Islamic State. Thing.
I mean, he probably read a book.
And, and
he's probably
he watched a clip of Homeland.
Yeah, he
probably
he's probably watched all of the seasons of Homeland and be like, this is really good TV.
I don't know. And to me, so it's really hard for him to actually
I want to mimic this good TV.
I'm sure he's a very nice man, but I just don't
of course
think.
He's a nice man.
I just think when you own like 4 helicopters or whatever, you
it's
kind of
really
get out of touch with reality.
Everybody, he's like, you know what? I really chaps my ass, right? It's like everybody's like, what? No,
when
Chris,
you get a pilot on hold, and then he cancels on you.
And your private jet won't take off. Thank you.
Unchap that ass.
You might not want this back. I'm just gonna leave it over here.
That's cool. That's cool.
Like, is he giving him chapstick because
his lips
are chapped?
No, because my butthole lips are
sure, yeah, of course.
But like, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's like, don't you hate it when you can't get on your private jet because like Obama's coming into town and you're going from the same airport and you're like, no, Chris, he fucking ruined my day because of traffic, not because I couldn't get on my own. It's like I just had to sip champagne for 3 hours on my way to.
I choked on my money salad on my way.
Right?
There were too many pennies in there. Get those pennies out of there.
And I don't think that you have to be a poor, struggling writer to like really. But you do.
You do though, kind of.
But you need to have some idea of like what the regular person, right? He sounds like a crazy person, and I don't, you know. And I'm assuming that a lot from the audience here that you're not one of these people, but like, it sounds like the type of person he's watching all of the shows on Fox News and being like, yo, they're right. They are out to get us. Like, they're coming for us. And it's like, and that us changes every week. Sometimes it's Chipotle, sometimes it's terrorists, sometimes it's like, you know, it's like whatever. But like, he hasn't like ever stepped out of that bubble and been like,
I'm doing the Bernie.
Sure. Yeah, Bernie Sanders wants to say something.
To that point in the next scene, we see Miller and Einstein, and we're following them. So now I'm like, oh shit, they're getting their own.
Yeah,
scene.
I thought these people were done and walking off because I didn't recognize Robbie or Lauren Ambrose. I was like, oh my god, these people are here.
They have their very own scene together.
They have their scene together where they're like very
well, it starts
opposite
off, to
Mulder
play
Scully.
Off of that idea of Fox News. They have these pundits arguing on the TV.
Right. Chris has seen that on TV before, so he knows what that's like.
Which is like a hyper reality. It's a hyper reality to what's happening. Yeah, all right.
And then there's Texas in the background.
There's a lot of cowboy hats.
Cowboy hats. Obviously, they're definitely in Texas and not in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Welcome to Texas.
Yes.
On the side of the airport.
Texas and Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
they have one of those.
There's some fun. Again, there's some
Saskatchewan.
in this scene of them in the airport. There's some fun lines of her saying like, "No one takes the X-Files seriously."
Still part of the 10 minutes of like where I'm like, I'm enjoying this.
And she's saying there is the thing too where Carter, even though he broke up Mulder Scully. This is kind of a weird line.
I was saying this
where she goes, he's like, well, why is she there then? And she's like, well, she's clearly in love with him. Why else would she be there? And it's also, didn't you say like they've had sex together, they have a child together, clearly they're in love.
Yeah.
So it's a weird kind of pandering to like, oh, will they, won't they? It's like they already have.
Yeah. This moment though, I turned to Colleen when we first watched this, and I said, wouldn't it be great if at the end of this episode Einstein and Miller made out? And she was like, I would literally fucking murder him. Like I would hunt him down and kill him.
They earned it after one episode.
They've always been secretly in love. Yeah. Miller and Einstein.
Kill me, please.
But I want to actually go back to something that I just kind of dawned on me. So we're talking about these two that have now come into our perspective. And
the new ones.
Okay,
the new ones. Go.
Miller Einstein.
Yeah. Miller Einstein, and then they turn. I forgot what I was saying. I'm so angry.
Okay, all right.
He lost his tangent because he was so mad.
No, we got to move through.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
So
it'll come back.
Here's the thing too. The one interesting thing that I did notice we did talk about was that the Scully version, the Einstein version, is a hyper version of Scully, where she's actually more aggressive than Mulder.
Than Scully ever was.
Than Skuldar.
Skuldar.
I'm getting all confused.
Shipper.
Yeah. Shut up.
That's her secret. That's William's last name.
It's that she's acting a little bit more like a Mulder version of
Scully, and he's acting like
a little bit more
Scully version of
Mulder. He's sensitive, but he's also way sexier.
He's meek.
Than who?
Yeah,
than Mulder.
Okay.
Okay.
And she was always hotter than he was.
Sure.
Oh God.
Eventually, she got there. She got very
She was
hot.
pretty hot back then.
Her projection of hotness just off the chart.
Yeah, exponential, whatever.
So
we love you, Jillian.
But the fun thing is, she's totally coming.
Please come on the episode.
Anyway.
We love you so much. I won't smell your hair.
But the fun thing that I noticed.
But I tried to.
But your wig, I can't promise I won't smell that.
Can I have the floor?
I'm sorry, Bernie.
So
Bernie, I'm sorry, Bernie. Please go ahead, Bernie.
God damn it.
No, we've noted it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, he's putting it on.
Stop it.
I put it on my butthole.
Stop talking.
I don't care. I like it.
So this is just like it's just like a shit show here, and then the one thing that's interesting is she does kind of a Mulder ditch to him.
Yes.
Where she's like, okay, peace out. And in that setup, there is Mulder calling her, being like, I have an idea, and Scully calling him, being like, I have an idea.
Okay.
Which to me, here's the other thing: you have 6 episodes to tell this story about your characters, and you got it right the first time, Chris. I don't need a shadow version of them.
A second shadow version.
And why am I spending time with my favorite characters doing stuff with pseudo versions of the other when I should just have the two of them working?
And it would be fine if it was a nice reflection and it allowed Mulder and Scully to realize what they liked in the other. Like if there's a need for that, right? Like there's a lot of ways you introduce these types of characters, right?
Yes.
Like he needs to realize remember how she was when she was young, and she needs to do the same thing, and that helps them get back together again,
Which is
right?
sort of, I guess, part of the subtext, but he never fully executes that
and that's
idea.
A lot of the things.
It's
is a lot of the
constantly.
things in this episode are left to well, did he mean this, or is there a deeper meaning to that? It's one of those things of are there extra clues here, or have we been trained through recent television, right, to be looking for extra clues, or is he just that bad of a writer, and now we're trying to fill in the blanks
where it doesn't.
So I think we need to, for the sake of time, we need to. Some
through.
Stuff happens, right? There's a bunch of people
terrorist things. Where
there's a bunch of stuff that happens at the hotel or at the hospital, right? You have these no-face DHS guys show up, and that's really weird and doesn't really move the plot along.
Oh, those guys,
right. We're here, and then they say something in Arabic,
right?
Which still confuses me.
Right.
Then there's the racist nurse. Who also maybe we were well, maybe she's actually a part of the terrorist cell,
which maybe would be an interesting twist,
right? And she's
she's just racist,
and she's she doesn't want him to have any credit because he's not really a martyr, and the people who are spending too much time paying attention to him aren't the agents and people who are worried about terrorism, but the terrorists who think that he's a martyr, right? Nope, she just comes off being a racist, right?
Yeah. Right. And this boy should not be alive.
She also has the literally they took our jobs. So
they took our jobs.
Yep, that happened.
And then
which I understand. The point is to show that our people are the good people in it. So I guess
she's not as bad. They're not as bad as the faceless DSA.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they come in and tell them there's a bomb threat. And then Mulder and Einstein arrive.
Yes.
And then this is really
Mulder. Yes.
Yeah, Mulder and Einstein arrive, and this is the crux of
a lot of
where the episode really just
gets off the rails,
shits the bed.
So Mulder decides he had pitched.
You gotta get
he had pitched
mattress.
to Einstein that he wanted to take shrooms,
magic mushrooms.
And there's an image I have of him trying to show her this mushroom that he wants to take, and she's like,
"Looks
no,
like a garden variety mushroom."
He
tells her
he knows that Scully's not going to administer it to him, so he goes behind her back, which also seems I
also don't think that's actually an accurate characterization of Scully. She fucking of course would do this. He's been right how many times?
She would be frowny face, and then she'd be like, all right, fine.
She'd be fine. What do I care? I've already been fired from the X-Files for 14 years. What are you gonna do? Do it again?
So he pitches it to her, and then actually I have some screen grabs of her face getting pulled, where she's just like, what? No! Her facial reactions are so fucking big,
so large
throughout this whole thing that it's comical, which doesn't go along with a terrorist type of environment.
No, the tone is shifting.
No, more. Have more of a reaction.
More of her. So he pitches it there.
Garden variety mushroom.
It's not garden variety.
Looks like it.
We get him taking this mushroom, and then cue a way too long sequence of Mulder tripping balls. And there he is. He's got the pill.
Taking it.
There he goes. He's ready to go down the crazy train. And he takes the pill, and then he's walking down the hallway, all hey, what's going on? He's
Moody.
He literally winks at somebody.
Yeah.
He does a high fives people.
And then he's walking down the middle of traffic.
Then he's in the middle of traffic. And then he gets to a honky-tonk bar.
Saddle Ranch, basically.
Sorry,
it's pretty much
Ranch. He gets to a Saddle Ranch.
The Saddle Ranch. He's at Universal City
and
Walk.
He gets to Universal City Walk. He's like, oh, Texas.
He's like, oh, look at this long line. I'm just going to cut everybody.
Watch out. David Duchovny coming through. Yeah, so then he grabs a guy's hat, and he starts to do a two-step, right? And you're like, what?
Square dance, if
you're
you
like,
will.
what is going on?
No, it's line dancing.
He's doing some line dancing,
yes.
and he's doing a two-step thing, and he's doing whatever. And then he starts to go to Saturday Night Fever. And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
And he does a backflip.
And but he's doing, this is like Dad is drunk at the wedding.
I've seen that. My dad did get drunk at the wedding. That's kind of what he looked like.
Really?
Yeah. And then he does a fucking backflip.
He does a backflip.
And then they have this completely extra gratuitous, offensive to me, he's sitting at like a VIP table, and now he's got like a America shirt on. And it has mushrooms.
And Mitch is there.
And he's got
he looks awesome.
Skinner is at the table, and then the fucking lone gunman that Chris Carter had hyped about coming back. Right. And he was like, you'll see them in ways that you've never seen them
not
before.
Like that you won't.
You'll see them in a psychedelic trip.
You'll see them as like individuals for less than a quarter of a second. You never see all three. They don't say any words. They don't do anything except for like get drunk on
Langley
set.
kind of was like, ah ha ha. And I was like, yeah, you're still creepy.
Yeah. But
you do look like a Birdman.
You do look like a
Birdman. I mean, they died for like such a good cause, and then you bring them back to just be like assholes.
And then there's also
at a strip club
the nicely
bar,
offensive
the booty shots of all the women.
Shots of young ladies in like scantily clad.
Basically,
like why? But why though?
It's so
because
gratuitous.
Chris wanted to have like a bunch of like hot 18-year-olds on the.
But
like,
then
David approached him and was like, you know what we need more of?
Ladies
pussy on set. And Chris was like, yes, I agree.
Yes.
Sign me up for that. And he like wrote
David
like
is God. David gets what David wants.
He's been living the life I wanted to live all these years.
I don't know.
It's like, all right.
He paid for all 4 of my helicopters.
Give the man some old booty. Okay, so then it switches though. Then the tone switches from, and this is again part of the confusing, like doesn't really work tone of, it goes from like a farcical, crazy world to then it switches and Mulder's on this like red slab.
Well, I mean, that would be very trip-worthy.
Yeah, I guess.
It's Blade Runner meets Tron.
Yes, and he's on this red thing here, right? And then there's this like S&M.
Woo!
There's this weird S&M moment where Einstein, you see someone like whipping like a whip, and she is like really aggressive and is like, say woo woo again. And I will say the only thing, if Scully was in that scene, the internet would have broke.
Oh yeah, totally.
My God.
The internet would
have. That was a missed opportunity.
Exploded itself, but instead it's baby Scully.
Yeah.
And
but not even baby Scully. It's Skulder.
It's Skulder, kind of. And so she's like whipping him on this thing, right? And then it becomes a flash into he's on a boat. I'm on a boat. And
Smoking Man's there.
Smoking Man is there,
AKA
and
his dad.
The Smoking Man, who's his dad, is whipping him.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
And he says like, "Is this the truth you want?" or something like that.
I mean, David, this is the truth you're looking for.
This is the truth you're looking for, and he whips him.
David looks good without a shirt on.
I was about to say that. Still
for
straight.
a 50-plus-year-old man.
55 years old.
Super jacked.
Yeah, he doesn't have a dad
Probably
bod.
got like the growth hormones going on.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but he looks good.
Right.
He sees. Who cares? He sees.
I care.
He sees the terrorist guy.
Yep.
Who is in a vision
on Mary Magdalene's lap.
Yeah, it's a
It was
very
a nurse though, wasn't it?
No, it's his
it was
mother.
his mother.
And it's this vision
which you wouldn't know, and you have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
No.
There's no way to piece together any of the fucking clues there, Chris.
Yeah.
It's just
So
like
it's
random woman, words you can't hear.
Worst episode of
in a
Scooby-Doo I've ever seen. Fucking hate this all of a sudden.
I don't know what's going on.
Words you can't hear in a language you don't know.
Yeah.
Nor
Don't
does
worry,
Mulder know.
don't worry, you'll
about
figure
it.
it out.
It'll be fine.
Whoa.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but it's very much like it's again like a trigger image of like a Islamic terrorist being portrayed as like God, a Christ-like figure.
I mean, we have like 2 things we need to touch on before we end in the next couple minutes.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the solution to the case.
Yes.
Which is Mulder remembering what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Which is Babylon Hotel.
And then they solve the case and everybody wins.
They solve the case, but they bust in. The problem with them busting in and solving it there is that they bust in and they're praying. They're not like building a bomb, so it's like, ooh, that looks bad.
Is it really bad?
I don't know, that's bad.
Then we have the
we saw them have bombs on their vests before.
Yeah, I know. It's
we know
the
they got
association
them.
of it, but it's
a leap.
It's
cognitively, I feel like.
Sure.
So then they're all together. They have the kind of coming to Jesus moment. There's that song again where Miller's listening. There's so many songs.
Okay. So this is the end of the episode, right? There's 2 major things that happen here. We have another scene.
Yes.
With Einstein and Miller.
Yeah, another one.
That's like a nice little
It's a wrap up of.
You're not hanging around to get all the credit. Well, I didn't really do anything.
She's got her hair down because she literally let her hair down.
But she's got he's got the music and we have like a song.
Yeah.
Not.
Then it's Mulder listening to apparently the Lumineers.
The Lumineers.
Which
I mean, it's fine though because Mark Snow's a composer for the Lumineers, right? Like, I mean, he's
he's worked
not like
intimately with them.
Yeah,
since...
I mean, he's not an expert and like done music in 200 episodes that are all really nice and distinct and like.
You have Mark Snow at your disposal for an emotional scene. And instead,
like the most
you trivialize it again. It's the trivialization again of the terrorism.
Hyperplayed pop music.
With a hyperplayed pop music song, overplayed pop music song that looks like a fan video, and clearly, like your niece let you see like her song, like she was playing it. And
hey,
like,
let me listen to that. Like the device that you're listening to music. Is that like a CD player?
Yeah.
No, Uncle Chris, it's an iPod. Yeah. What I don't know. What?
And
what is that?
This porch scene that had been
so
lifted up as like, oh, it's going to be like a culmination of why the breakup happens,
hands.
and they hold hands. It's going to be amazing. They talk about like nothing. They
talk about
like,
religion,
and
then Chris trying to solve the world's problems of like, all we need to do is bring unconditional mother's love and fight hate together, and we can make peace. It's like
to me it's like
too much.
It's a kid in college who's like high and he's like, dude, love, man.
Did you ever read the Bible once?
Yeah,
dude, they like shattered humanity back there.
Yeah,
you know?
It's so crazy. And it's like a sophomoric version. There we go. Yeah, exactly. It's all the things of like, I saw this crazy vision.
Yeah,
and the other thing that trivializes Mulder's character is when you learn that was possibly a placebo, and that's never clear if it's a placebo or not.
Issue is like you just have no idea.
It bastardizes him as a character.
At least have a heavier hint, right? Like there's like a hint that Miller is like on to Einstein is like, oh, so you gave him a placebo, right?
Wink.
Wink. But then Scully shows up in that scene and is like, so you fell for the placebo trick, huh? Too bad for you.
And he's like, but how did that happen? I saw things. But if you saw those, I hope that's from mushrooms because I really don't want
what if he has
to be
like
a sexist like
No. What if he has? This is it. They've set it up. This is the perfect setup. He has brain cancer. Like they always do, and he's gonna die at the end of the next episode.
Okay, so the
Han Solo it, bringing it all back to George Lucas.
People who hate their own intellectual property.
Yeah. But okay, so the one thing towards the end that maybe might save it is as they're holding hands in the field, and there's
Mulder hallucinates again because he has a brain tumor, and hears the horns from the beginning, which I think is a nice it's supposed to set it up and be like the end of the world is coming because we've seen.
But the other possible theory is
the
being
summary for
the idea was that maybe being together is like a holy experience, right?
That's not it.
But no, it's not because only he hears it, not her.
Scully doesn't
and
hear
so then he's hearing this thing, and it is an interesting setup in that way.
That we know that like
if the aliens are coming and they're doing an end time episode for next week, that this is sort of actually is a sounding whistle to like the end is coming.
And only Mulder can hear because he's being called to action.
Independence Day 2.
ID4 2.
So my biggest thing is the whole point of this breakup thing. You're not even treating them like they're actually broken up. Like this even looks like a fucking like save the date card.
Yeah,
they're
just holding hands.
And
we broke up. It was super serious.
Yeah, and it's just like.
But you're all invited next summer.
And it would make more sense if those couples, Miller and Einstein, reflected upon them as a relationship, and it brings them together to be like, if she came to him and was like, listen, I know, like, or he even like, sorry, it's been weird between us, and like, you know. I appreciate you for whatever, and they can get back together. Like if there was some hint of them actual relationship coming back together, it would make the breakup make more sense.
They're so doubled down on there not being a relationship that
it's so weird. Just it just doesn't make sense.
You know what I have to say though?
Yes.
I think this is my favorite episode.
Yes.
Of NCIS New Orleans this season. It's so good.
Yes.
It's way better than all that Scott Bakula crap.
Right.
Like this is like exactly perfect, right? It's a perfect NCIS episode.
And I love the soundtrack.
Yeah,
it's made a believer out of me in CBS.
Right, like all of these young kids know what they're talking about with music nowadays.
The X-Files is kooky.
Yeah,
and
I can't wait for CBS to pick up this this pilot.
And I want to see more CGI zooming out of the planet.
Oh yeah, sure.
Maybe we can get a CGI character a la Jar Jar Binks.
Or Colossus from the Deadpool movie.
And then I will officially kill myself. So thank you for watching.
That's it. Wrapping up.
Fun little dumpster fire of a gem of a thing.
Let us know if we're being a little too harsh on Chris. Don't tell Chris we're being harsh, but just
you can tell him
like just like hit it up.
All right.
You can tell me this at Deep Sea Sith on Twitter.
Yep. You can tell me this at Lady Fantastic, or tell the show at Alieums After Show.
Alieums with a U, after show without a W. Really hard.
Abducted, it's fine. And Dalex.
Dalex the Alien at Twitter, whatever. Just find me.
It's fine. Watch next week. Hopefully it'll be better. If not, sorry.
And we'll be back next week for the last episode.
Bye! Don't get abducted!